James Mercer Langston Hughes is best known as a poet, although he also authored plays, short stories, and novels. One of his well-known poems, I Too, or I Too Sing America, was written in 1926, and this poem is the feature of the literary analysis to follow. I Too Sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen. When company comes. But I laugh and eat well. And grow strong. Tomorrow I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody will dare say to me, "Eat in the kitchen." Then besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America. Langston Hughes conveyed the story of African Americans with a wide-angle lens that captured the African American experience at 360 degrees. His work portrayed reality for African Americans over the span of 5 decades, from the 1920s to the 1960s. Hughes, along with contemporaries such as Zora Neale Hurston and Claude McKay, contributed to a movement of Black aesthetic that gave rise to both the Harlem Renaissance and the Civil Rights Movement in a way that laid out a foundation for future African American writers, musicians, philosophers, artists, and poets. The time of the Harlem Renaissance was a great time of creativity, producing some of the culture's greatest contributions to the literary canon of activist literature that not only emphasized the talents of individuals, but displayed African American intellect, especially on the subject of racism in America. Hughes's poem, I Too, is the very essence of what it meant to be Black in America at the time he penned the poem in 1926. The poem also prophetically spoke to the plight of the African American in the 1960s during the Civil Rights Movement. And even now, in the present, the poem yet addresses America's ongoing struggle to grapple with the effects of racism. A closer inspection of the poem reveals both an affinity for capturing the moment as well as prophesying a struggle that has spanned decades. The first line of the poem establishes the rightful place of the African American as a part of the fabric of America. Unapologetically, Hughes asserts, "I too sing America," or in translation, a message is that I am a part of America too. Hughes's poem is a response to Walt Whitman's poem I Hear America Singing, which depicts a metaphor as America as a song sung by a sort of everyman. Whitman's poem, published in 1860, champions the everyday worker as a hero to the fabric of America: the carpenter, the sailor, the wife, the mother. Hughes responded, though, to a missing component, which was that of the slave. At the time Whitman wrote the poem, in the late 1850s, slavery was very much a part of the economic and social life of America. Hughes, a little over 70 years later, looks back at a world where black people were not even considered human, thereby rejecting the attitude that persisted since before the Civil War, that slaves and their later descendants did not belong in the song of America. This attitude was that of African Americans disregarded as real citizens of the country, while emphasizing that blacks should also have access to the same inalienable rights as whites. Hughes emphatically defines the plight of African Americans as one of exclusion of a member of the family, as he uses the imagery of the darker brother sent to eat in the kitchen when company comes. However, the speaker of the poem rises above this injustice by laughing, eating well, and growing strong. Hughes pays homage to the resilience of African Americans to thrive and succeed despite the oppression of segregation and ignorance. Inasmuch this strength gives way to hope for a better future, as the speaker says, tomorrow I'll be at the table. Also, there is hope for true equality and opportunity when nobody will dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. To which the beauty, the contributions, the resilience of the African American will be applauded, and those who would try to oppose, discredit, and repress this beauty would be ashamed. Before, during, and long after Hughes published his poems, prominent African Americans have made their mark and contributions to the country. They have enabled lesser-known voices to proclaim proudly that I too sing America. If it were not for their resilience in the face of adversity, their persistence against opposition, and their dedication to a real one nation under God, we all, no matter our ethnicity, would not have the progress toward equality for all ethnicities. It is their work, together with our own individual contributions, that truly establish America as a city on a hill. The words of the eloquent Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. solidifies the message of Hughes's poem, King stated, "I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word."